Hey everyone, and welcome back to Bird Talk with Terrence Mathis. I'm William Brandon. Please make sure to subscribe to the YouTube channel Atlanta Sports Unlimited and turn on those notifications so you don't miss an episode. So the Falcons addressed that proverbial elephant in the room that Terrence was talking about. The Falcons traded Julio Jones earlier this week. And with that, there are only a few players remaining from that Falcons Super Bowl team remaining. What's your initial thoughts on the trade, Terrence?
Oh man, it happened quickly. We thought if it didn't happen on June 1st, it was going to take some time, but it happened quickly. I think it was a good move for both. I truly think both sides kind to messed up this whole situation from the beginning, from the start, from March. But at the end of the day, the Falcons got what they want. They got money. They got some cap room. Julio got what he want, that he has a chance to go somewhere and play and hopefully play with a winner. So everyone got, everybody received what they wanted. The only, right now, the only people that are upset are the fans. And I don't understand why you should be upset that, people parted ways, relationships break up, and, you're going to choose sides. At the end of the day, you're going to be mad at one side and you're going to be mad at the other side. But it's not our relationship. So we shouldn't get too involved in it and expect too much from it. We shouldn't expect, even though Julio did send out a thank you little note whatsoever, I wasn't expecting that. The Falcons are not going to say anything right now. It's because they're trying to uh, forget that Julio, and this is a bad thing to say, they're going to try to forget that Julio even existed as an Atlanta Falcon football player because that's the history of the organization. But at the same time, hey, you got to applaud Julio for what he did for the 10 years that he was here. You got to applaud him that he gets the opportunity to go on and continue to play. You got to applaud the Falcons for making that bold move to help their salary cap situation. Now they can keep some guys around, they can sign their draft picks, and they have money for the future. So you can applaud both sides, but at the end of the day, there's pressure on both Julio Jones and Atlanta Falcons right now. Can Julio go to Tennessee and be the guy or be that dude he was when he's healthy in Atlanta? Can the Falcons be that dominant offense that when Julio plays a full season and healthy and that they can be productive and get back to the playoffs? You know, you hear so many things. It's funny that I'm glad it happened on a Sunday and you and I didn't get to talk to the last of the week because you get a chance to hear what everyone is saying and what everyone is posting and whatsoever. And I just sit back and shake my head and wonder why we're so enamored with this situation when we know that Julio has not been a very vocal guy, especially over the last 2 years. We don't know much about Julio, his personality whatsoever. We don't know what went on over the last 3 or 4 years in that locker room or in that organization. We don't understand it. We probably will never know. Because as you said, as I just said, Julio is a private guy, and the Falcons are not going to lead on to what happened, and those players are not going to talk and say what happened. You're going to hear some rumblings, but it is what it is. But at the same time, Julio was productive here. Julio made his Hall of Fame career here, and he has moved on. So let us move on. We got to worry about. I've always said this when I played, when receivers or when players got cut, released, or traded whatsoever. I can't worry about who's not here. I got to worry about who is here. So right now, as quick as the Falcons can get their minds wrapped around about who is here and who's there, uh, they can be successful. Because right now, one thing is this is is my mom is my grandmother always says this. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. And I say that to the fans. If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Falcons, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Julio, if you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Because the Bible says you reap what you sow. So, and it says, your tongue can cause death, which means that could cause you to have bad ill come fall upon you by the way you speak about situations or others or whatsoever. So at the end of the day, I'm a applaud both sides and say, job well done. Let's move on. Let's let's work on this 2021 team. And I have an interesting perspective of this offense that we'll talk about in a few minutes.
Yeah, my initial thoughts, Julio was a great Falcon, probably the best player to ever put that jersey on for Atlanta. He gave Atlanta some great years. You know, you can't really be mad at that. And like you said, I don't think we'll ever know what really happened unless he speaks
Right,
candidly. And that's just something he's never shown us to do. Then, yeah, as far as that social media post, like you said, he's not very vocal. So I don't know what people were expecting. He
right.
never did that before. So
Never, never did
that
it
was
before.
him. That's Julio. That's
Right.
that's what he does. So
That's
that shouldn't have been a shock to
right.
anyone.
Right.
And like you said, you've got to move on. You got to roll with the punches. It's time for the Falcons to lace up their bootstraps and get get to it.
Yeah.
They've got to move on. They're going to
Yeah.
have to find a way to win
Yeah.
with or
Well,
without Julio Jones.
and both sides right now, William, they both have to humble themselves. And you
Yes.
say, why would they have to humble themselves? What has happened? Well, Julio feels that I am that dude, and I'm gonna go to Tennessee and prove that I'm that dude instead of, and then the Falcons are going, we are an organization, and that dude does not make us. The head coach says, hey, I can't worry about a guy that I never coached before. Some of the things that you say, look, humble yourself amongst men, or you're gonna be humble in front of God. So you better you better humble yourselves and just go about your business and say the right things and be positive and say good things about each other and concentrate on what your job is at hand.
Well, that gets me. That was a perfect segue because I was gonna ask you next. Who is got the most pressure on them in this Falcons organization? Is it Matt Ryan? Is it Terry Fontenot? Arthur Smith? Who do
It
you think
starts
you
from the
got?
top. It starts from the top because you have a new regime. It
Mhm.
starts from the GM, Fontenot, to the head coach, to his staff, and to your first round draft pick, to your franchise quarterback. So it trickles down to that, to your defensive coordinator and some of the things that you did defensively. So personnel wise, defensively. So yeah, it's pressure. It's pressure. Thing is that, when we first started talking, you and I, William, when we
Yeah.
first put this thing together, I said the Falcons was a few pieces away of going to the playoffs and possibly winning division and going far into the NFC, all the way to the NFC Championship. Do
Yeah.
I still feel that way? Right now I'm a little bit shaky now.
Mhm.
I have to sit back and say, look at this more. I thought Julio was a big piece of them going far, but he's going now, and now you got to look at see who's in that locker room that uh, could rally the troops and take them to where they need to go.
So is that what gives you that shakiness now? Is maybe not necessarily his production, but also his leadership? Do you feel now that maybe that there's going to be maybe a hole missing in the locker room that they need to
Well,
fill?
not that. This is the thing is that here's a time for players to say it's my time.
Yeah.
I want to carry this franchise on my back. It's not a time for players to say, let's see who's the next guy gonna be. You be that guy.
Hmm.
I don't care if it's a rookie. I don't care if it's a 10-year vet, whoever it is, be that guy. Because, you know, uh, when Julio's not playing there, it was always talk about Julio's not playing. How are they going to be productive? Julio's playing today. The productivity is going to be up. But Julio couldn't play if Matt Ryan wasn't throwing him the football.
Yeah.
If Matt Ryan wasn't being protected, Matt Ryan couldn't throw the football. If the other receivers weren't running their routes to bring coverage towards them for Julio to get open, Julio couldn't be as successful as he was. So now it's my time. And I'm in that locker room, it's my time. And at the same time, I have to be that dude in our meeting room that everyone wants to follow and emulate for us to be successful. There's no time to sit back and wait for somebody else to step up.
Yeah.
Everyone in that room has to step up. I'm talking about the wide receiver room. I'm talking about the tight end room. I'm talking about the running back room, the offensive line room. They have to step up and play football and not look and look around and say, are you going to step up today? Or are you, I'm going to follow you. No, I want to be the one you follow. And that's what I'm talking about when I said uh, you miss a presence like Julio, because they know when he starts and he plays, he's going to do something, and the fans going to get excited, and your blood going to start pumping, and the adrenaline is going to start going, and you're going to want to do the things that he is doing to help this football team win. So who's going to be that guy? Is it going to be Calvin? Is it going to be Kyle Pitts? Is it going to be Mike Davis? Who is it going to be? So right now, I just got to sit back and wait and see, as we're still early in this now. This is just June.
Yes.
Yeah. We're still early in this. So at the end of the day, it's all going to come together for the Falcons. And when they roll out that team on opening day, we're going to know who they are.
And like you said, I know it's early. We're assuming that Ridley would move up to wide receiver 1. What do you see the rest of the depth chart at the wide receiver position? And again, I know it's early, but what do you possibly see?
This is something this is something that, you really have to think about. Mm-hmm. You just lost a big dominant receiver. Okay. You just drafted a big dominant tight end that can play receiver. There it is right there. I can see Pitts playing outside, Ridley playing outside, and you got Hurst right there. Mm-hmm. So you got the guys cage, you got the guys right there that I can see Kyle Pitts playing 60% of the time at wide receiver this coming season. Okay. And for that to happen, you better have a coach that knows how to teach. He better have a coach that has patience. He better have a room that's gonna adopt this and adapt to this and help this young man understand how to play on the outside. And I think that's the way you win football games, because now you got a big kid like that runs a 4.4. Who's going to cover him? I'm going to match him up outside with a smaller DB and make you play coverage over top. Like, you hate to say it, like you did with number 11 when he was here. So I see that's my, what I see, what's going to happen with this Falcons team. If I'm the offensive coordinator, I'm feeling good about my chances now of being very productive with all these weapons I have. I'm gonna do some things that's gonna confuse some people, and that's what you have to do in today's football game, especially in the NFL.
It's a slight rewind, but it brought up a point in my head that when you were just talking about offensive coordinator, that's Arthur Smith, and Arthur Smith was the offensive coordinator for the Tennessee Titans. And you think to yourself, I know Julio. Well, we heard reports that he wanted a big arm and he wanted a winner. And you're like, man, he went to Ryan Tannehill, and then they don't even have the OC anymore. He's our head coach now. I guess that's almost the best thing that could have been for the Falcons if they were going to trade him, was maybe Tennessee rather than a New England, rather than Green Bay or anybody like that.
Well, and here it is. This is the thing. You're right. So guess who has pressure now in Tennessee? It's not on Julio, it's the OC. In Tennessee. It's the OC. That offense was productive last year, especially running the football. And now, you have a new OC and you got another weapon. Is that's gonna stop? It probably will lessen Derrick Henry carries, but he's gonna be more productive because now you can't play 8 or 9 guys in the box, because you have 2 guys that play receiver for the Titans that can open it up for you. And the thing is, you got to understand this. When you're an offensive coordinator and when you get hired as an offensive coordinator, you have to have a philosophy that the head coach has. Yeah. And Vrabel comes from a philosophy that we're gonna pound you, we're gonna pound you, we're gonna pound you. We're not gonna throw the ball a whole lot. If we do, we're gonna throw underneath stuff, and we're gonna, think and dump and move up and down the field. But we're going to pound you with that running game. That's who Vrabel is. So now the OC becomes the head coach. Now he can just unbutton a little bit and say, it's time to do me. So
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a very creative offense from this Atlanta Falcons team and from Arthur Smith.
DeAndre Hopkins, Arizona Cardinal receiver, he spoke to the media about the Julio trade, and he said he didn't think a first round pick can do what he and Julio has done at the receiver position. Basically,
Mhm.
saying he was surprised that Julio went for a second rounder. Do you think the Falcons? I know you did address that, but do you think they got hosed on that deal as far as a second rounder in 2022 and a fourth rounder in 2023, or is that pretty much what they would have got for him?
You know what? I don't know. It's funny because we've heard stories from these so-called reporters who have the inside scoop
Mhm.
that, hey, the Falcons was offered a first rounder for Julio Jones. Well, why they didn't take it if
Yeah.
you had a first rounder offer for him? So here we go about those guys who say from an undisclosed source in an organization, hey, you better stop listening to these snitches and get the real scoop. Um, so at the end of the here's the thing when I seen that and everybody says, what? We didn't get a first rounder for Julio? The Falcons can't afford to have 2 first-round picks next year. Come on, guys. They can't afford it
They sure
because
can't. Matt,
understand this. It's realistically or on paper, it looks like the Falcons going to be picking in the first 15 picks anyway.
mhm.
Okay. So now if you get a first round pick and it ends up being a top 15 pick. So now you got 2 top 15 picks in 2022. You can't afford to have that.
No.
And now you got to try to trade that pick or whatever, or get out of the first round to save money. So at the end of the day, I think financially it worked out for the Falcons because first of all, the Titans took Julio's whole contract. So it took that money off the books for the Falcons. And they get a second round pick. And they save some money right there where they don't have to pay another 15 or 20 million to two
Yeah.
first round
First
draft
round
picks.
pick.
So I think it was a smart deal.
I know you said in the locker room that the team, they shouldn't wait for the next man necessary to lead. They should lead by example and go ahead and step up to the plate. Do you see someone else besides Matt Ryan being the face of the franchise on the offense?
You know what? I keep seeing, Calvin Ridley flashing up all over the place and he's gonna do this, he's gonna be a top 4 receiver next year, this and that. We don't know that. We don't know that. You probably could have said that in last year's offense
Mhm.
if it was the same offense whatsoever, because we know what he was in that offense. Now he's in the new system. We
Yeah.
haven't even seen this system yet. We don't know what this system looked like. We won't see this system into the first preseason game. So then we can have an understanding of what it is, because right now it's been hush hush in the Falcon organization, what we're gonna be, what we're gonna do, and how we're gonna do it. At the end of the day, if it's me, I'm telling. This is what we're gonna do. This is what we're gonna be. So now every team got to pull up film. Okay, if they're gonna be doing this, how are we gonna get ready for them because they doing all this stuff?
Mhm.
And then at the end of the day, I'm gonna come out and do something totally different.
um, what I was going to ask, just give me your gut. What do you think the impact of that Julio leaving is going to be on the 2021 Falcons? Is it good or bad? I mean, what do you think the overall just impact will be?
Well, I think it's gonna be a good thing.
Okay.
I think it's gonna be a good thing because now uh, here you are as an offense and as an organization as players. Now you don't have to worry about is Julio practicing this week? Is Julio playing this week? How long Julio is going to be out? Is he going to last the whole game? Is he going to get hurt again? All these things now or is most of the offense passing game going to be geared to Julio? Now you don't have to hear all that, worry about that. Now you can go out and play free and have fun and try to be that next dude for this offensive team. So I think it's going to be a good thing. I think it's going to be really, really a good thing. I think now Matt Ryan, I truly believe, I'm not saying his 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 quarterback IQ wasn't high
Yeah.
in the past, but now it's going to be even higher because he's going to have to find guys.
Yeah.
And he's done a great job over his career
Mhm.
spreading the football around. So now, if I'm a wide receiver and an offensive player, especially a skilled player, I know I'm gonna get touches. So every day in practice, I'm gonna practice my tail off for my quarterback so he can have confidence in me on Sundays.
You mentioned that we won't be able to see, what the Falcons' offensive scheme looks like until the preseason. Well, that first preseason game is against the Tennessee Titans here in Atlanta. Can't write it a better story. Do you see Julio possibly starting this game? And what kind of reception you think he's going to get?
You know what? This here's the thing. And I'm gonna go out on a limb. Julio may not even make that trip.
Yeah.
You know, I had an opportunity to do an internship with the Baltimore Ravens,
Hmm.
and we were coming here to Atlanta to play the Falcons. And I stayed up with what was going around, the heartbeat of the city, the fan base, the news, and whatsoever. So, uh, Ray Lewis and I had a conversation, and then Ray Lewis said, "I'm not going. It's just a preseason game. I don't need what about to happen, the ridicule, all these things that's going to happen, the booze, whatsoever, for a preseason game."
Yeah.
And he decided not to take that trip. So I can see Julio probably not even taking the trip. So uh, don't expect Julio. Don't. I'm not expecting him to make that trip.
Okay. I'm sure all our viewers may know, but just in case they don't know, your last season was not played with the Falcons. It was played with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Can you tell us a little bit about how that transition was for you?
It was tough. It was tough. It was because, for 8 years I had a way of doing things and the things that were done the way we did in the organization. So going to Pittsburgh, you had to transition and get acclimated to what they do in an organization and as a team. And it was tough, but I did try to bring my influence of being a professional in a locker room, which happened. I couldn't wear 81. Someone else had 81 at the time, so they gave me 88. And I felt good about that because it was a Hall of Fame number,
Yeah.
and I wanted to do it proud. But it was a hard transition for me because of the fact that um, I felt by um, some on the coaching staff on the offensive side of the ball was very disrespectful to me and didn't respect my abilities
Yeah.
and didn't respect the things that I could do on the field, and I didn't get an opportunity to finish my career the way I wanted to finish it whatsoever. And I'm not hurt by it anymore. I was, and the transition was tough because you wanted to finish your career in that black helmet
Yeah.
with that bird on the side of it. I had one more year left on my contract with the Falcons, and I wanted to play that 1 year, and I wanted to retire. And things didn't go that way because of my salary cap numbers. I was released, and I got picked up for the Steelers and played the minimum. And after that year, you know, I knew no one was going to sign a 34-year-old wide receiver.
Yeah.
So I had to make a choice if I want to continue on my career or retire. And I ended up retiring a Pittsburgh Steeler. Uh, I wanted to retire the Atlanta Falcons so bad. And I wasn't allowed to. And so I retired a Pittsburgh Steeler. But, at the end of the day, I'm always going to be a dirty bird for life. Uh,
You definitely will. When you retired, did anybody from the Falcons organization reach out when you retired with Pittsburgh?
Well, you about to open up a can of worms right here. But my representation, my agent did call the Falcons and the organization and says, "Hey, look, Terrence is about to retire, and he wanted to retire the Atlanta Falcons." And the Falcons says, "Okay, sure." And they said, we'll do it in a ceremony of the next season whatsoever. And it never happened. And we called back and says, well, what happened and what's the deal? He still wants to, he's not going to play again. He wants to retire an Atlanta Falcon. And here's the true story.
Mhm.
They said to my representation, well, since we've been so successful over the years whatsoever, we get a lot of calls from former Falcons that want to retire a Falcon, and we're not going to do that anymore. And I said, well, damn it. None of them was the all-time leading receiver in catches and yards and touchdowns. And so they never retired me Atlanta Falcon. So that's how I end up retiring a Pittsburgh Steelers.
That's crazy. Atlanta Falcons, y'all got to do right by that.
You know what? It's
Julio.
been 19, 20 years, and it's done and over with. I've moved on. Of course, they've moved on. So, there's no hard feelings anymore. There was bitter feelings towards the organization on my part, after the first 3 years, but I'm done with that.
Well, I'm speaking for me, not for you. I'm speaking for me and the rest of Falcons Nation and the fans out there, because like I said, it was Julio. Now Julio's gone. You're not in there. The only person they acknowledge is Roddy White, essentially.
Right.
I mean,
right. Well, if I was bitter, look, I'm not bitter. Look behind me.
Yeah.
I love that black.
Yeah.
I love that black right there. That's and I love.
Yeah, you're a Georgia boy through and through.
Yeah,
So.
I grew up here, so that's who I am.
That's right.
Atlanta
Can't take that
Dirty
away.
Bird for life.
Exactly. Exactly. You got anything else for us today, Terrence?
You know what? I really don't. But this is the thing. I just want fans to understand this, is that it's a business, and you don't take it personally. Julio didn't leave hating the Atlanta fans. He's not a out there outgoing person. I'm sure he's hurting that he had to leave, and he wish he could address each and every one of you personally, but he can't. And I truly believe that. And the thing is that don't be mad at the Atlanta Falcon organization, because at the end of the day, it's a business first and it's football second. So you got to understand that. And the thing is, let's get over this. Let's move on. Let's wish Julio the best, but let's support the Atlanta Falcons football team, and let's support them all the way to the playoffs.
Sure thing. Thanks, everybody.